photography practice is seen to be threatening because photographers are those witnesses. They're there at that time. They're the primary source of information, and therefore they're a threat. That has been perceived by every government we've had right from the beginning. It's not simply the military government.
Most of the work done by Pathshala photographers is about social issues, is about social inequality. So I think Pathshala is it's not an orthodox school, it has a philosophy, and I think it rediscover, re-examine its own society by their own photographers.
We've had death threats, we've gone through situations where we've had to increase security quite enormously. We've had prominent politicians sending thugs, telling us to stop doing certain things. We've continued, but of course we've modified.
Photography can tell more than words, and it can communicate people so quickly, so easily, and in a country where literacy level is low.
Definitely, visual literacy is much higher than textual literacy. That's sort of self-evident. Everyone watches Hindi films, Bengali films also, but really Hindi films on video. But reading is not as widespread.
Pathshala is a very old word, Sanskrit word. Path is to study or learn. Shala is a generic word for a place. Pathshala, therefore, is a place of learning. The way it's been used is much more in terms of the early schools where you had this big banyan tree and this old man would sit underneath and people would gather around. It was wisdom being shared, experience being shared. And that has been a central idea behind Pathshala. We had very little infrastructure. The computers came later. When we did the first workshop, the bricks were covered up with a white sheet of paper to make it look good. But what we did have was the finest professionals in the world, giving quality time.
Okay, it's a good composition, good picture, but horrible caption.
I was born in Bangladesh. I lived in America for over half my life, but I moved back here in 2002 because I wanted to work here. I wanted to learn more about my culture. We're more of a conservative society. A foreigner might not have access to a lot of places that we would, especially say I, being a woman, would have further access because women live a more protected life here, more sheltered.
It's an institution that takes all of these media pieces, politics, activism, photography, general media activism, puts it all together under one roof, and also gives people the direction that, okay, this is something you can do. This is something serious, it's not a hobby. And I think in that sense, I wish I had this when I was growing up. People can consider this a serious, profession, and they can consider getting trained and getting a degree. That didn't exist before.
Back home, students like me, I'm 25, we don't have a platform if we want to find our voice. Education is all crap back home, I want to find my voice. That's why I came to Pathshala. And in Pathshala, every student is an individual. Everyone has their voice. You want to try out new ideas, you get motivated. Teachers push you to that limit to try out, and that's the best thing I have here.
I think now we've been able to create a profile for ourselves, a network that we have, which gives us sufficient nuisance value so that the government will not probably stop us unless we go beyond a certain edge. It's gauging where that edge is, which is difficult. And of course, talking of edges, that's where you need to be. You need to be feeling the heat. The minute you back off, you become ineffective.